we joined SaaStock a little while ago and are part of their founder circles. It's been absolutely brilliant for us. We first came into it to further our community, our reach, our network, and to learn from some of the world-class speakers that SaaStock has come and speak. And I have to say, it has been absolutely superb for us.
Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. I'm delighted to be joined this week by David Henzel, who's the founder of Managing Happiness, plus a whole bunch of other businesses, which I'll let David explain what I mean there. Welcome to the show, David Henzel.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Excited to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on the podcast. I think I've been on your podcast, I think, sort of previously, and we've spoken on panels together. You've been to SaaStock quite a few times, but good to have you on the podcast, I think, after all this time. And yeah, I think like I'm really fascinated by what you do and all the multiple businesses that you work across and how you manage to do it. So I thought that would be, quite a good topic to unpick, amongst other things, as well as your passion and experience around EOS, which we'll also get into. But David, for those that maybe don't know you, let's tell the audience, who is David Henzel?
I'll give you the quick summary. Originally from Germany, always an entrepreneur, dropped out of school at a young age, and was kind of lost. Found entrepreneurship was like really my thing. Had a few startups in Germany, but saw the startup ecosystem in the US, which was very appealing. In the early 2000s, there was nothing in Germany, so I was like, okay, I want to get over there. Sold my business, which gave me the money to get my investor visa to move to the US. Moved to Los Angeles, co-founded MaxCDN, a content delivery network, which we ran for 8 years, and had a really good exit. And then my wife wanted to move back to Germany. I couldn't go back to German weather conditions because, once you get used to LA weather, you know the feeling being in the UK. Then you can't really go back to bad weather. And we moved to the southwest side of Turkey. We're in Bodrum, Turkey. And today I run a portfolio of different companies. I guess that's the quick rundown.
Yeah, no, it's a good summary, and I'm quite envious of you living in the sunshine. I've got sort of we're having a good summer here in the UK, but it's not as I think as good and glorious as you have all year round with Turkey. And you mentioned there, so you've had now 2 exits. So one exit which allowed you to move to the US. You then created MaxCDN. You said you had a very good exit with that. Can you share any information? What does very good mean? Can you put anything sort of like behind that?
It was a bit of color? We signed something that we're not sharing it. I guess I can share the multiple. It was a 4x revenue multiple, which was back in the day, 2016. This was like pretty good, but nowadays the multiples are kind of through the roof. So we should have waited maybe a few more years, but it was all good. Yeah.
So you can't share the revenue, so then work out the 4x.
Correct. Yeah.
Multiple. I've got to get better at that. But good stuff. So then after MaxCDN, so your second very successful sort of exit, you haven't taken it easy. In fact, you've gone quite the opposite. You are now running what seems to be an infinite amount of businesses. Well, I'll say running, but you're certainly you're involved in a number of businesses. So how would you describe to the audience what it is that you do now? And maybe also, can you put a number in terms of how many businesses you're involved in, and maybe share just like some info about some of them?
Sure. So actually, at first I attempted to do the opposite and just like do nothing, thought like early retirement, just going to move to Turkey and chill out and sound all amazing. But I got really bored. And then I read a book called Conscious Capitalism, which the basic idea is a regular business has to increase shareholders' value. That's the reason why it exists. And a conscious business does good by all stakeholders, meaning suppliers, customers, employees, etc. Planet, environment, kind of everything that it touches. And then if you have a business like this, it's the best vehicle to have a positive impact in the world. And this was something that was really appealing to me. So I leaned into this. And the first thing I started was an outsourcing company because I want to employ as many people as possible, put food on the table, provide them a great work environment, great culture. And this was L2 Plus. We provide live chat agents and support agents for SaaS and e-commerce businesses. And then I bought TaskDrive. We do lead research and provide SDRs, sales development reps. And invested into and co-founded Shortlist.io. We do backlink building. And some new additions to the productized service world, or part of my portfolio, is Uber QA, where we provide quality assurance for for agencies, website developing agencies or dev shops. And often I build things because I'm scratching my own itch, so I want to, it would be great to have this, and then we have a big recruiting, a big training team, etc. So it was just a no-brainer to build this ourselves, and we have also the tech capabilities. Then recover payments. We do failed payment recovery. Once Churnbuster or Profitwell has given up, can't retrieve it, then we have like people reaching out to you, to the audience to recover. Then on the SaaS side, main focus right now is upcoach, which is a coaching platform. Helps coaches to run their business better, but also works for agencies for their onboarding and user communication. We're using this in TaskDrive and Shortlist, etc., as the control panel where we interact with customers. What works really well. It was like a nice side effect. And yeah, then we have 50 SaaS. We built a bunch of web apps. And latest investment was Octet. It's an on-premise email and email marketing and SMS marketing software. And then my passion project, sorry, it's a long list. I even left a few out. My passion project is managing happiness, where I help people to figure out their personal mission, vision, and core values, and their habits, and which habits they want to cultivate, which habits they want to get rid of, because I believe that habits determine everything in your life. And it's something that, I think also allows me to run so many businesses and just be like, I guess self-mastery is the name of the game. And I'm also sharing this with the leadership teams of my businesses. They also go through these courses, so they're on their personal A game, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. If your personal life, everything is in order, and then it transcends over into the business. Sorry, long answer, but yeah.
No, well, long answer, because so many companies, and I'm impressed you remembered them, and I lost count during that. What would you say? And I guess obviously I know you set it up in the specific model, but obviously let's say common advice is to, if you want to succeed, focus on kind of like one thing, do it kind of really well, and not try to do like multiple things, kind of at the same time, because obviously you spread sort of your resources. What would you say about that, or like how do you avoid that issue?
I have three thoughts on this. I think this is like a myth that VCs spread, because VCs invest into the entrepreneur and in the business, and they want to kind of keep the entrepreneur focused on one thing. Second thought is, in the beginning, when I set up a business, I'm very focused. I didn't start this all at the same time. It's kind of like one by one. But then I think a good manager manages himself out of the business. I'm an organization development nerd. This is also where the EOS thing is coming into play. And I like to work on the business, not in the business. So I think if you're in the business, then it's really hard to focus on multiple things. But if you're just working on the business, like on, basically I'm coaching the leadership teams, or maybe just the leads of these businesses, and this allows me the freedom to do multiple things. And
makes sense. And in terms of like across all companies, can you share like how many employees, even revenue, if you're happy to share, any capital that you raised, or is everything kind of bootstrap funded by yourself or by customers?
It's all bootstrapped. I bootstrapped all of my businesses, and kind of like had from previous businesses always some cash to do it. At Maxian, actually, we fake raised some money, because with the CDN space, it's a lot of trust involved, and we want to say that, hey, we venture backed as well, because this was like a common question of customers. So we raised some undisclosed amount and just put in the bank. We didn't have to touch it, from one of our employees' dads who's running a big fund. So, but yeah, I never raised any money. Revenue, I don't like to share. Employee count, we're at like, let's say 500 or so currently, and
500 employees is quite a lot. So how do you, and across all of these businesses, how do you manage your time? So like, what is your role? Yeah. And how are you managing your time to ensure that you're being the most helpful?
So In the beginning, I'm more involved, but as I said, I manage myself out of it. And then once the business is running and I have somebody in place who's the lead, then I just help them with their 90-day plans, kind of like, and keep the finger on the pulse with KPIs. And if like something is not going well, I parachute in and kind of brainstorm something with them like, hey, we could do X, Y, Z. And then I parachute out again. I also do like lots of, because I love to network. I love people. And so I have a pretty big Rolodex of people. So I like to make strategic partnerships, kind of like start this process, bringing people together from my company and others, and then let them do cool stuff together. I think this is like how I spend most of my time.
And how do you structure sort of each business, like in terms of your ownership and then, the roles of the team that you kind of bring in or are already there? How does that kind of work out? Do you own, 80% or 50% or what, how does it work?
It's a very colorful mix. Depends on like who brought who much to the table, if I started them or if I invested into them or like I bought some shares. It's kind of a mixed bag. What I really like doing is to do a profit split with the person who's leading it, because I want to, especially the leadership team, I want to incentivize them not for revenue, just like actually for profits, because I'm a bootstrap guy, so it's not about like crazy growth and grab market share. It's just about like, having a sustainable business that's running for a long time. So I want to be aligned that profit is the goal. And I like to do a 50-50 profit split. So 50% of the profit each quarter stays in the business, and the other 50% we split up between the leadership team. So everybody is kind of like bought in. And then at the end of the year, it's the profit that we want to take out is then based on their percentage of ownership. But I kind of like to have that everybody has skin in the game and feels the pain if something goes good or something goes bad.
And is there a timeline for managing yourself out of the business, or does that depend per company?
It really depends how fast I find somebody who is really capable and how fast, it's, sorry, can I give you a clear answer? It's just like
Sure.
Organically always grows.
What's the biggest challenge then that you currently face within, let's say, the business in like working across all of the businesses, and then how are you tackling that?
I mean, the biggest challenge that I have, or what's always like an ongoing thing, is finding like really capable leaders, like either for, like GMs for businesses or key people inside of the business. Because like this is like what I'm focusing the most. Everything else kind of just block and tackle, like nothing out of the ordinary. And I think like for me personally, that's definitely always the.
Where do you go to find these GMs? How do you find them?
It's a lot of networking. It's just like doing podcasts, going to events, meeting people, just providing value to people, and then at some point it always comes back somehow mysteriously. I'm not like super focused. For example, when I'm going to SaaStock, I'm gonna find like somebody who's gonna lead XYZ business. I'm just gonna go with the flow and hang out with people, have fun, and then if something happens, it happens. I'm not too crazy about this. It's also something in general that I want to do stuff that I really enjoy doing and that's fun. I don't want to do anything else, because then I'm always at my best, and it's just flowing. I'm in a state of flow versus just like grinding.
So do you? I mean, is it like you do networking, attend various events or whatever, or networking events, and then build like a virtual bench of, hey, this person could be a good GM, if I started this such and such business or something like that?
Yeah, correct. I use GetDex. It's a super cool personal CRM where you can kind of put in, for example, hey, I want to talk with Alex at least every quarter. And then if we don't talk, it's connected to LinkedIn, email, etc., and calendar. If we don't talk, it pops up. So like, hey, you haven't talked with Alex in too long. Just like reach out to him. So this is kind of like how I'm staying on top of like a large amount of people.
Very cool. What was the name? Sorry, there.
It's Dex, DEX, and the URL is getdex.com.
Okay, very cool. I'll check that out. First time hearing about that. So we'll have a look at that. Personal CRM, probably something that I could benefit from. Something I know about you, David, is that EOS is something that you're pretty passionate about and that you've implemented across your businesses.
Mhm.
Look, not everyone knows what EOS is, right? So let's kind of start with that. What is EOS? And then we can maybe sort of like drill down, a little bit into there and, the impact that it has for you, in your businesses.
So EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it revolves around a book called Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. The website is eosworldwide.com, and it's basically an operating system for your business. And I'm such a fanatic with this because all these things, for example, vision, mission, values, I thought it's like, who needs that? I'd rather build product, not seeing the value in it. I thought like you do this for the presentation for your VC, and then you kind of like maybe put it on the website and then you never look at it again. But it's actually like one of the best tools to manage your business and have clarity and to give direction. And at Max CDN, we grew very fast and we did not communicate our mission, vision, values to anybody in the team. And then we ended up running into 10 different directions and it really halted the business. And we realized that this was the why we were stuck. And then we implemented proper mission, vision, values, and it started flowing again. Not only vision, mission, values, but a few other things. And all these things that we learned with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears is perfectly described in Traction. So it's like, I was like, holy cow, if we would have had this before MaxCDN or during MaxCDN, we would have sold for like 10x and I would not have gray hair in my beard, so yeah, it basically helps you to figure out your mission, vision, values, how to run proper meetings, how to see if you have the right people in the right seats. Meeting cadence it's a holistic system on how to run your business.
Yeah. I mean, like my personal experience with it, I mean, like for the first 3 years of SaaStock, we didn't have like a business operating system. I don't think we had mission, vision, or values sort of either. And then I think it was really kind of around about sort of like year 3 that we started to see this was actually, kind of the time when something like this would be helpful. And I think almost every SaaStock conference as well, and especially like at the SaaS Society events where I could actually spend some time talking to other entrepreneurs, I was hearing about EOS and Traction and, have you read this book, etc. So I took my time to kind of do it and or read it. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of like struck a huge chord in terms of thinking about how these things can be really, pivotal for the business. Then we went about trying to implement it ourselves. I had a very smart junior in the team kind of like own it. And I think it did take, us sort of quite a while, perhaps like, across the course of a year to start to really kind of get a grip with EOS and then, start to see some of the benefits in the business. But yeah, I think now, like, I couldn't imagine, certainly a company, of the size, well, I don't know, like, when do you start, like, implementing EOS? I guess with you at the very beginning, right?
Very beginning. Like having the VTO, the vision traction organizer, just like to kind of know what are we actually building here is super crucial. But I think if you have a running business, I think like once you have like 5 people, 10 people, then like it really starts, especially once you have 25 people, you need something like this. Otherwise you're gonna have like you'll feel a lot of pain. So
you can get, I mean, a lot of companies they get there's this coaching like network program, like and some companies pay these advisors or coaches to come in. In your case, like, how do you implement EOS? I guess you've got this experience. So, I mean, are you using coaches or are you doing it yourself?
I did it myself because I kind of implemented all these things before, just not knowing that, how the EOS way is or like not having heard about the book. The biggest game changer for me, and this is also where I always start, is the level 10 meetings. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's a structured meeting agenda. It's always the same. I feel like I can kind of walk through this, but this was the absolute game changer. And this has lots of elements of EOS, like the tracking sheet and a bunch of things, and the what's called the KPI sheet and the rocks, basically the big things that you want to implement in the next 90 days. Has lots of elements of EOS. So I was like to start with the level 10 meeting. And also, a lot of people hate meetings. They think like it's a waste of time. And with the level 10 meetings, at the end of the meeting, you ask like, if you would rate this meeting from 0 to 10, where would it be? And if it's below an 8, you have to tell the others why is it below an 8. So you kind of like always improve and fix stuff, and get better at it. And we took this concept a little further, and we have an error log in all of my businesses. Where every mess up, every error that we commit, customer complaints, whatever it is, we put into the error log, and then we look at the error log in the managing meeting, and there's like, what happened, and most importantly, there's what do we have to change to make sure this never happens again? Which SOP do we change? What do we learn from this? So kind of like a self-healing machine, and nobody gets in trouble for committing an error. If you make the same error 10 times, then we gotta have a talk. But it's cool, just move fast and break things. But if you don't add the mistake to the error log, you're gonna rip your head off. That's like that's the rule basically. It has been working phenomenally well. I also do this for my personal life. Whenever something doesn't work the way I want it, I list it, and then I contemplate what can I do to make sure this doesn't happen again. So kind of like always learning from failure.
What is the outcome for your businesses, of having EOS in there? Like, what if you didn't have it? What would it look
What would
like?
happen?
And versus like, yeah, exactly.
I guess direction, knowing what you really want to build and who you're building it for. Because you could build like this, like attach your phone to the cup. So like maybe makes sense, but not really. I actually heard Jack Ma speak at a conference, and he said, every day smart people from our organization come to me and say like, hey, let's build this thing, let's add this feature, and this would make us X dollars. And he said like, that's cool, but let me run this through my filter. And his filter is the vision and mission statement. If it's in line with the mission and vision, then he considers it, and if not, he says like, get lost. And this, a lot of FOMO goes away once you have this like clear North Star in terms of where you're moving to. And other things, just like having proper cadence. Every 90 days you plan the next 90 days. So I think it's really important. Otherwise, you just also don't get ahead. And yeah, it's just like you build a well-oiled machine when you implement this system. Otherwise, it's kind of just like everything's kind of ad hoc, and you react more. You don't act. You don't plan.
If you, I mean, I agree on all of those things. And again, I think, for those that are listening, just have a look at the book Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. Another good one is Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. And I know there are a lot of like crossover between the two. Traction is probably, would you say it's fair to say that if you're under 10 million in revenue, probably Traction might be a little bit more like suitable, but if you're looking to build like $100 million business plus, Scaling Up could be the one? What are your thoughts on that?
I've read Scaling Up, but because it was like so redundant with Traction, I just kind of flipped through it, so I can't answer that. Yeah. But I should probably, I just joined EO, so kind of like Scaling Up is kind of like the thing there, because I guess he founded EO. So yeah. I'll reread it. It's on my list.
Yeah, it is good, but it's more. It feels like more of a manual, more technical. It's not the most enjoyable read, but it is very, very good. Whereas Traction is just a lot kind of like easier to read, and I think it just feels that if you're at that earlier stage, it's probably the one to go for.
There's one called, it's also from the EOS guys. It's basically Traction in story form, kind of like how Traction is being implemented into a business and like how they struggled before. What's it called? I think it's called Get a Grip. But yeah, if you go to EOS Worldwide, there's another one. If you like story form more, then this is probably the book for you.
Yeah, interesting. All right, no, we'll check that out. If you could kind of go back to let's say post Max CDN world and what you're doing now, this stage of your entrepreneurial life, we're running, multiple businesses or involved in multiple businesses. And if you could go back to when you started this particular stage of your entrepreneurial life, what advice would you give yourself?
I guess finding my why earlier. It's like it took me a while. I felt kind of lost and really bored by just hanging out, and contemplating my why and why I do what I do, and or like kind of defining my personal mission and vision. Kind of what's my purpose here, defining this, because like once I had this, I had like a lot of clarity, and it became very easy to execute, and I didn't feel lost anymore. So kind of self-reflect more on what do you really want.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. You are a member of the SaaStock founder membership. Why did you join? What value do you get from an organization like the SaaStock founder membership?
As I mentioned before, I love networking. I love peer learning. I love learning from other entrepreneurs, and I love hanging out with entrepreneurs. It's just, I kind of almost only hang out with entrepreneurs. It's kind of, maybe some people say it's sad, but just like this is the crowd of people I enjoy, and just learning from others is what I get out of it. And also I live in Bodrum, Turkey, which is absolutely gorgeous, but it's a vacation destination, and finding other entrepreneurs, you find people, but they're always in construction or they have hotels. And I like to hang out with the nerds, tech nerds. So this is why I love being in the community.
I think there's nothing sad with liking to hang out with other entrepreneurs. I'm with you. I like to hang out with other entrepreneurs, and I get to do that for my job, which means that I really like my job. Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. And you are coming back. You're leaving Bodrum in October, and you're coming to Dublin as you're returning to SaaStock, but this time you're speaking, which we're excited about. I know it's a little bit early, but have you got any ideas in terms of what you're going to be speaking about, and also what are you looking forward to about SaaStock being back in Dublin?
Oh, I can't wait to come back to SaaStock. It's my favorite conference of the year, and it has not been happening for a while, as you know. Just virtual, but not in person. And also SaaS Society is super cool. I love the SaaS Society part. So I'm super excited too. It's like family reunion. You kind of meet so many friends that you always see on the conference circuit. Circuit. Yeah. Anyhow, but yeah, I'm super pumped about this, and I'll speak on how I run 10 businesses without going crazy. And it's a lot about self-mastery and how can you be on your personal A game and applying business principles to your personal life. Basically some managing happiness stuff, because I've seen the results myself, and also with all my team leads or business partners, how they're thriving since they have implemented this. So I want to share this with you guys.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing that. Actually, I must connect you. Well, we'll see. But there's an entrepreneur who's in a peer group that I'm in, who is an EOS coach, who also has had some successful exits, who is also running probably as many businesses as you. So there's something that you both have in common. So probably worth a connection there. So you can talk about why you both have chosen to run 10 plus businesses each. Something like that, but maybe you guys are onto something.
I'd love to.
Awesome stuff. Well, David, I'm really, I'm going to connect you into Sid. And David, where can people find you online?
The usual social networks, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Feel free to connect. If you tell me that you heard me on Alex's podcast, then I'll definitely connect. Otherwise, I get a lot of LinkedIn spam, so I'm not connecting with everybody. If you just hit connect, then I may not accept. But if you tell me where you found me, then absolutely would love to chat.
Awesome. Well, David Henzel, thank you so much for being a guest today on the SaaS Revolution Show. Super excited to see you again, in Dublin, in person. Really looking forward to that. But thanks so much for sharing with the SaaStock audience today.
Likewise. Thank you, Alex.